Good afternoon. My name is Carlos Sanchez, and I'm Public Affairs Director for Hidalgo County. It's been 6 days now since County Judge Richard Cortez has issued a shelter-at-home order, and we in Hidalgo County government understand that there are a lot of questions. To help us get to the bottom of some of these questions and get a sense of some of the answers as to what is going on, we're joined this afternoon by Hidalgo County Commissioner for Precinct 2, Eduardo Eddie Cantu. Welcome, Commissioner. How are you today?
Very well. Thank you, Carlos. Thanks for helping us with this.
Well, I appreciate your being on. I think one thing that we'd like to do to get started is you are the Commissioner for Precinct 2. Can you give us a rough sense of where Precinct 2 is in Hidalgo County?
So we represent Far San Juan, Hidalgo, half of McAllen, the southern part of McAllen, but more than half of it, and then the outskirts, the rural area, north and south of Alamo.
Okay. And what is the Precinct 2 office doing presently to help the community during this pandemic?
Well, we're trying to, as much as possible, conduct business as usual, but because of the virus, we don't want to put our employees at risk. So we're working kind of like a skeleton split shift where we have essential employees here all the time. And then some of our other employees kind of working 1 week on, 1 week off. But we're still trying to do our job. Our job is to build roads, maintain roads, drainage projects. And so what we find is essential to do, we're continuing to do. From an admin side, we're still taking calls. People have a lot of questions. We have our collection sites for our rural residents. That's the place that they throw their trash. We obviously have to keep that operational. So we continue to do that. We also have our staff helping at the food bank. We first distributed over 1,000 bags to our most vulnerable people that we identified as 65 and older or disabled that live in a house worth $50,000 or less. And so we passed out 1,000 bags. But our team has been really, really good. They're working with the food bank and they're preparing new bags. We're some of the only volunteers that the food bank will allow inside their space now. And so I think we've made over 2,500 bags for the food bank so that the food bank can continue its operation.
And what are some of the major concerns that you're hearing about these days from the residents of Precinct 2?
And, we take all comments serious. We see all the comments being posted on social media. We get a lot of calls. I get a lot of calls. If you can imagine, I probably get 40, 50 calls or texts a day and people giving me their 2 cents. And I appreciate it. And I take it all in. And when I continue to get the same comment, I feel that there's some action that at least needs to be considered. We've heard a lot about that there's still too many people out on the streets. And I'm glad that the city of McAllen posted an article, or there was an article about the city of McAllen in the paper today. It said that their traffic was actually down 70%. So from 100 cars, they're down to 30 cars. That's a significant drop, and we're happy to hear that. Can more be done? Can people at home do more? Absolutely. Let's take less trips to the store. Let's stop finding a reason to leave your house. Let's find a reason to stay at your house. We're also have, the question about what's an essential business. That's a really, really difficult subject, and we're doing the best we can. And so what do? First of all, the governor sets out like a standard, a platform. And from that standard, we can be more restrictive. We cannot be less restrictive. We can be more restrictive. And so what we're doing is we're following most of what the governor says with respect to venues, bars, restaurants, the obvious gathering places. And, we obviously made that choice a long time ago to shut those places down. Wow, it was a hard decision. I mean, we thought about the people that were going to be left without a paycheck. And so that's the hardest decision I've ever had to make as a commissioner. But we did it for the good of all, right? And so one of the ones that has come up are car dealerships, and we're taking that serious. We're looking into that. We're going to make a decision as a commissioner's court whether car dealerships should be open or not. But let me tell you why they are open or why they're considered essential. You know, food, automobiles, they're essential, right? The only way you can get food is to have a car. And so, you know, auto shops, body shops, auto repair shops are open. You know, most car dealerships, if not all of them, have a mechanic shop. So that's the thinking behind why they're open. Should they be selling cars? Well, sometimes people still need cars. Now they need to balance it too, right? They can't be running these huge promotions, bringing in hundreds and hundreds of people where you're not able to do the social distancing. So we got to make smart decisions. That's come up. Golf courses has come up. We're looking into that. I think that the consensus is that it's not essential. While it might sound obvious to a lot of people, I mean, you know, when you have a big space, you can really have a lot of good distancing between people. But we're going to make smart decisions. We don't want to take people's comments and concerns for granted. We're all in this together. The only way this thing works, the only way this shelter at home works is if we're all in it together.
You know, Commissioner, there is an increasing chant or chorus in the community essentially saying, close it all down. But that has real significant economic implications. And I'm wondering if you could address that.
You know, close it all down. I think we've already shuttered we've already closed a lot. I mean, when you look at New York City, I've read New York City's order. I've read Dallas's order, you know, Harris County, Travis County, El Paso County. I've read them all. And their orders, they've had way more cases, way more deaths than us. And our order is as strict as theirs. So what I say to the community is, number one, traffic is down by 70%. Number two, we had a really positive conversation that I was able to participate with. We had all our law enforcement agencies on the phone today at 10:30, from the sheriff's office to the ISDs, the police departments at the ISDs, all the cities. And the message during that conversation was, we need a little more enforcement. We need to get a little stricter. And they gave us their questions and concerns, but 100% of them said, we're on board. The order is already strict. We just need to have a little more cooperation from the community. I mean, it shouldn't come to a police department having to enforce it. The community can do it on their own. Stay home.
So I understand it is a two-step process, particularly with law enforcement. The first step being education. But now my understanding, even talking to you, is the next step is to step up enforcement. Is that accurate?
That's accurate, Mr. Sanchez. Another thing is we're trying to put out some cheat sheets that basically in one page will identify what's essential and what is not. It's really difficult for our community to go through an 11-page order. I mean, I've had to go over it 10, 15 times. Plus I've read, you know, 15 other orders. So I'm pretty familiar with that now. And I still need a cheat sheet. So we're going to put out a one-pager. So it's easier for the whole community to understand who's supposed to stay at home and who's considered an essential business.
And what message overall, Commissioner, do you think is important to convey to all residents of Hidalgo County?
Stay home. But I really want to talk about the virus itself. Obviously, we all know by now that this is, you know, something that we've never dealt with. It's one of the only viruses. It's the only virus in my lifetime that doesn't have a cure. And so the only way you can be cured is by time, with time. And so we don't want to spread this amongst our family. We don't want to spread this amongst our friends. And so the only way we can combat this is by staying at home. But let's just say that somehow you get the virus. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it's not serious, but at the same time, it has about a 96%, you're able to come back from it. 96% of the people are going to recover. You know, maybe 97, maybe 98%. And the younger and healthier you are, the more chance you are going to have to recover. But do you want to be that person that gets the virus, recovers, but passed it on to somebody who wasn't able to recover? That's why we're saying that this is serious. It's also a serious burden on our hospitals and our people in the healthcare, people at the front line, our police officers, our ambulance drivers. You know, they have to tend to somebody and they don't know if they have the virus. So is it fair to all of those people that putting their life on the line, that you're being careless and you're not staying at home, that you're potentially spreading the virus? So that's the main message is don't panic if you get the virus, okay? We also have something on our county website. If you go to our county website and it says coronavirus, go to this tab and we'll post it online. But this tab will tell you what to do if you have symptoms or if you actually have the virus. It's very, very insightful.
One of the early components of your leadership during this crisis has been to calm people down from panic buying. Are you still seeing evidence of that?
Not as much. I think it's gone down, and I'm not going to take credit for it. I think that, you know, the grocery stores, the supermarkets have done a tremendous job. HEB, Walmart, Reuben's, Grocery, Juniors, everybody's doing a really good job. Everybody knows how serious this is. But I'm going to ask the community at home that when you go to the supermarket, go as few times as possible, number one, and don't go with anybody else. Go by yourself. If for some reason you can't go by yourself because you're tending to a sick elderly or kids or something, have somebody go for you or have somebody watch your kids. But we need to cut this out about going as a family to the supermarket. That's not going to get us anywhere. That's going to be something very negative to our community. We have more people, you know, on top of each other, even though groceries are essential for people from a family. Going to the supermarket is not essential and it's not smart, and we need to stop it now.
And we've got a new term in our nomenclature, social distancing. What does that mean to you?
That you want to have a lot of distance between people is the obvious, right? But what I've been telling my employees and people close to me is try not to have a conversation directly with someone. Even if you're wearing a mask, do not have a conversation. Try not to have a conversation looking at a person. You know, you may even turn back to back because the virus is in your mouth. The virus is in your nose. You don't want to have this conversation. If you have to sneeze, you know, have Kleenex with you, sneeze in a Kleenex, wash your hands as much as possible, use hand sanitizer, but we don't need to be conversing. And for sure, I think we're already past this, but we don't need to be shaking anybody's hand. We don't need to be hugging anybody. We don't need to be spreading the virus.
Excellent. And Commissioner, what do you think is the one takeaway from this conversation that you would like people to remember?
I think that the shelter in place or shelter at home is working, and it's going to be working better with the enforcement coming from our police officers. Continue to send in your 2 cents. We're definitely looking at it. We're trying to see how we can be better. I think our order is solid. I think we're way ahead of the game with our order. I think we just need the community and law enforcement to help us make it the best order we can have.
Nonetheless, all evidence indicating that it might be working, we still have a ways to go before us. This is not behind us by any means. Is that correct?
But it's barely starting. This virus is, you know, we're at the beginning stages. I can't wait till 2 months from now, and hopefully we're through with this. Hopefully the community did their part. And I know Hidalgo County, we're a big family. You know, we're related. Everybody's related to each other. And so I think that thinking and knowing and caring about your community means that you're going to do your part. You're going to stay home and you're going to help not spread the virus.
And finally, Commissioner, are there any parting words that you would like to leave your constituents and the people of Hidalgo County with?
We're going to keep working hard for you. We're going to do everything possible to make this place safer than any other part of the state, any other part of the country. I think we're doing a good job. I think we can be better. I think we can always learn, but there's no script. You know, this has never happened in the history of Hidalgo County. This is the first time we've ever had this type of pandemic, and we're going to do the best we can. Don't panic. Don't panic. Don't panic. We'll get through this together.
Commissioner Eduardo Eddie Cantu, Commissioner of Precinct 2 in Hidalgo County, thank you so much for your time. And to you on the Facebook audience, it is our hope that this is a beginning of some regular and routine Facebook Lives so that we can give you some insight and share a little bit of what we are going to do. Is there any questions? We're looking now with regard to the discussion here. Looking it up right now. Commissioner, question being asked about construction as classified as essential. Is that what your understanding is, sir?
Yes, if you looked at, and so how do we determine construction? First of all, by looking at other orders in other parts of the state and other parts of the country, construction has continued. The governor just put out yesterday that construction should be considered essential. He's not even giving us the opportunity to restrict that. That's coming from the governor. But we've seen it from New York City. It still has construction going on. So we don't make these decisions. We don't take these decisions lightly, or we don't make them lightly. We're trying to see what everybody else is doing and learning from the governor to the other parts of the state of Texas.
Excellent. And with that, we'll leave the Facebook Live audience. And thank you again, Commissioner Eduardo Eddie Cantu. And we will be back on a regular basis to answer any additional questions in the future. Thank you again, sir.